And I'm like, oh, what have I done? Let's roll. Oh, what's going on here? Fucking hell. I'm having a wire malfunction. Oh, honestly. Here's my new bike. Isn't she pretty? And a bargain to boot. There's Mr. the non-angry biker. There's my cat. My stupid, stupid cat. Now she's going to roll in the dirt now, like a retard. I don't know if you can see her. Frickin' special case. Oh, do you know what? Is my lock on? Nope. Let's go. So, I'm off to my mother's, only briefly, because I had to feed her cats. To do that, I had to go and pick up her dorky from my brother, because I don't have a dorky, for one reason or another. And while I was there, he gave me one of her car keys that he'd accidentally taken home with him one time when he was staying at her house. So I've got to drop that off as well. So I thought I'd try and have a topic for a change. And there's a little story I wanted to recount, and then see what you thought, and what if you would have done any differently. So I'm a student midwife, as I've probably already mentioned a few times. I was doing a night shift, and I just went for a wee wander on my break, and I saw this guy just lying on the floor in the corridor of one of the parts that is only used 9 to 5. So he's obviously not there for legitimate reasons. So I kind of went and checked what was going on, and I did my life support. If anyone's done basic life support, part of what they teach you to do is to check if there's any danger to yourself. And I did it. I was like, yay! I actually learned something. But anyway, this guy's really disorientated. I'm just lying here having a sleep, and I'm like, well, where have you been? He didn't have any shoes on, no coat, nothing. He was just in his, jeans and a t-shirt. So managed to get him up, and there was a little sitting area not far from where he was lying. So I got him there, and then called security and said, can you come and help me, because there's this chap lying on the floor. They took ages to turn up. I don't know what it is about hospital security that nothing has to happen quickly. They just bowl up like, yeah, what's going on? In the meantime, I noticed that he'd obviously had blood taken at some point, and then he had some it looked like he'd had an ECG or something done, because he had the sticky things on him. So anyway, we're like, oh, let's get him over to A&E. This is the really short version. This happened over the course of about 20 minutes, half an hour, because he was really paranoid. He didn't want to go outside, and he was seeing things that weren't there. He admitted he was paranoid. He said, I can hear my mum calling, blah, blah, blah. And we're like, oh. And part of him's like, oh God, nutter, I'm going to get stabbed. And why the bloody hell is the bloody security guard standing behind me? He's the one who should have some kind of tools on him. I didn't notice anything, but he's security at the end of the day. I'm just a student midwife. So anyway, to cut a long story short, we're like, let's take him to A&E. He may well have already been there, maybe his shoes are there and a coat and whatnot. So we took him over to A&E, which is in a separate building, and that was part of the problem, was that he didn't want to go outside. So I managed to coax him out and get him into A&E. And as we walked in, one of the nurses looked up, staff nurse looked up and went, oh, he's back. And I'm like, what have I done? And then the matron went, get him out of here. I've already kicked him out tonight. I'm not happy for him to be here. And I sort of said, not in a horrible way, but he's really disorientated. I don't know what's happened. Clearly she's not happy about him. She's like, well, come and have a chat with me. And I said, oh, I'm not making any kind of diagnosis. I'm only a student midwife. It just seemed like the right thing to do. But so she explained that he'd come in by ambulance and verbally and physically abused the ambulance staff, and then had carried on with all the staff in A&E. And it turns out he'd been on 4 grams of cocaine, and I don't even know how much that is, if that's a lot, not a lot, I don't know, but she seemed to think it was quite a lot. Yeah. So that's why they booted him out, and they already called the police. They recalled the police, who pulled up as I left, and they're basically going to section him because of how he's behaving from having so much cocaine. So that, you know, initially started out as me doing my good deed for the day, ultimately wasn't, in some ways. I mean, I really didn't look pleased when I strolled in, because he's holding on to my arm like a little old man. He wasn't, he was 27. I mean, I kind of, you know, hindsight, I'm like, I wouldn't have done any differently because he clearly needed some help. It just goes to show you just don't know what someone has or hasn't been up to. Alright, Mr. Raven. So yeah, I just thought that was quite interesting. And I don't think I would have done it any differently because I didn't have any other information. The security guard was next to useless. I don't know whether he could have got through to A&E. I don't know. So yeah, that's my little story. It's a nice day. I've got to start watching all the Portsmouth meat videos. Bit well gel in it, because I'm in Essex in a minute, so I should use the lingo. It's nice having a bit of poke now. Get me out of any sticky situations. Probably get me into more sticky situations than I did in the first place. I've also got a question for all you long distance, I don't know, well, not necessarily vloggers, but people that, you know, commute. Because I want to go and see my sister who lives in Manchester, and it's a freaking heck of a long way from London, and potentially would be going, if I do it, up and back in the same day. I don't know how feasible that is, but if there are any tips or tricks. So my bike is sort of semi-fared. I've got my nice little screen here. I've been on the motorway a couple of times with my husband, a non-angry biker. It was so windy a few times. I mean the weather was windy. I appreciate this is going to be a bit more buffeting and whatnot. But it was, you know, exceptionally windy the couple of times I've done it. I wasn't amazingly thrilled. So, yeah, I just wondered if anyone had any hints or tips out there. I thought they were going to let you go, love. Sorry. I think you hesitated too much. Hesitation causes your worst fear to become reality. Name that film. I probably quoted it wrong though. I'm still so shit going straight around corners. This is ridiculous. More from a standstill than anything. So we're in the wilds of Bucker's-Till here. Some proper poncy twats live around here. Not that I'm jealous or anything. Whoa, Joe! Oh, that's me.